Hi guys, we're back. This one is for the non-goat's milk version of beginner's soap. Now I wanted to do one without goat's milk and just a little bit different, just because I realised that I gave you the option of having the no tallow and then the no palm, but I didn't give an option for no goat's milk. So this one is no goat's milk. Now the only difference is on your recipe, and I'm just running off the all ingredients recipe, you can see there in big letters, is your water was 190. Now in the goat's milk one we took that down to 70, remember? For this, your lye is 190 of water and the 68 of lye. So that's the full water amount, okay? That's the only difference. It just doesn't use goat's milk at all. But everything else is exactly the same. The difference I'm going to do with this one is instead of colouring a portion of it with cocoa, I'm going to do a portion of it with ground turmeric, however you want to pronounce it. I don't even know. I like to pronounce things wrong, so on purpose. So yeah, so turmeric's supposed to be very good for you, and it makes a pretty colour in soap. So I thought, well, this way I can show you two different things that are exceptionally cheap that you can use to colour your soap without having to go into micas and stuff. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So first thing first, we have to get rid of the whinging cat. No, we have to measure out all our ingredients. Now I know that a lot of people don't want to watch this part, but if you are a beginner soaper, you haven't done this stuff before, so you don't know what you're doing. Now, because we're making room temperature soap, it's important to do the steps the correct way. Now you'll find these three things need to be melted down, mixed together in the microwave, okay? If you don't have a microwave, you can do it on the stove, but a microwave is easier. These don't need to be melted because they're already melted, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to measure these into the bowl, then we're going to melt it down until it's clear liquid like this. And the reason we do that is because palm oil has what's called stearic acid in it, and if it's not melted down properly, it can leave little spots in your soap. So we have to melt it completely. Alright? So, we need a knife. Ooh, I have a knife. This is the knife. A knife like this is also what you'll need. That's what I didn't say on the equipment video. You'll need a knife like this to cut your soap. It's also good for cutting ingredients. Now the best way to do this is to have your big bowl. You sit it on the scales, you tear it out so it's on 0, and then coconut is, if you've never cut it before, it's really hard. And we're going to need 75 grams of this. This has been out on the bench for a while, so it's not too bad. If you know when you're going to soap, get your coconut and get your cofa out of the fridge a little bit before then. So that's 59. We're going for 75. That's 76, would you believe? No, still a little bit much. A little bit much. $75, yay! Alright. Now, if you want to be exceptionally accurate, measure this out in different bowls. Alright, because that's the only way to be perfectly accurate. Because it will get mixed up in this bowl. That's a paper towel. Alright, now a tallow is another one that's a little hard to cut. So what I like to do is take the whole thing out. Now this has been out of the fridge for a little while, so, and I always cut it at the bottom. I don't know why, I just do. So we're going to tear this out again. And our tallow is 50%, 50 grams I should say. If you're doing it all in the same bowl, try and sit the same thing on itself. So if you have to take some of it out, 50 grams. Sweet. And then that can just go back in its container like it never happened. Get all that gross stuff off there. Yeah, try and sit it on itself so that if you have to take some back out, you're not getting any of the other stuff that's in there. Alright, now palm. We're going to do 100 of palm, so we're going to tear this out. That's 52, 60 odd. I'm going to sit that on itself. It's 91, 97. 101. One handy. Alright. These will all just go back in the fridge. Now, this needs to go in the microwave. Now I'm going to put that on for 1 minute for now and see how that goes. Depending upon your microwave, it could take more time, it could take less time. It depends. You're just going to have to work with your microwave and figure out what times work best. Okay, so that's 1 minute, and as you can see, nothing much has happened. So I'm going to chuck that back in now for another 1 minute. Alright, it's been another minute, and as you can see, the coconut has started to melt. It's hard to get some light in for you because this is like the dead spot. Alright, so I'm going to put that back in for another minute. While we're waiting for that, let's measure out our stuff. Obviously a new bottle. Now on your recipe, we're going with 30%, which is going to be fairly strong. So, come over to you. So I'm going to tear that out so it's on 0, and we need 15 grams. There you go, 15 grams. Oh God, that smells good. Wow, yum. I love eucalyptus oil, it's so nice. Alright, now we've got some stuff happening. Spatula. Good old spatula, loves the spatula. Now, fats and oils will always melt better if you make them smaller. Smaller pieces will melt quicker, so try and chop everything up as best you can. Mix it in, because I mean this has got some heat in it now. So if you can mix these in, because you don't want this to heat up too much. You just want it to get to as hot as it needs to be for it all to melt, and that's it, no more. Because remember, we're going to work at room temperature. This is obviously not hot enough. But But you can see that just by doing that, it's melted through a lot more than it was when it was just sitting there a second ago. So try and give it a good mix through. And this is what I do for all my oils. Always. This is how I work on my recipes. This is not just a beginner's way to do it. This is how I actually do it for soap for sale. The only difference, I'm going to put that back in for another, I'll give it a minute. I would suggest probably 30 seconds. The only difference is I batch mix mine. Like all my hard oils I put mixed together, and all my soft oils are mixed together in a different container and they go in the fridge. So it's just quicker. But this is just how a normal person soaps. Alright, so I stopped that at 30 seconds. And as you can see, this would definitely, a minute would have been too much. But as you can see, that is now all clear. One thing you need to check, and I'm going to have to go over here under the light and check that there's no, so it doesn't look grainy. If it doesn't look grainy, then it's good to go. Alright, so we're going to wipe off our spatula, get as much of that oil off as possible because we want to keep our grams as exact as possible. Alright, so we're going to turn this back on, put that back on, tear it out again. Now we need, how much rice bran do we need? We need 75 grams of rice bran. Now if you're worried that you're going to go over, measure it out in a cup first. Easy, just use one of these, measure 75 and then pour it in, scrape it all out. If you're worried, just go really slow. $75. I mean, seriously, I know I said to be as precise as possible, but if it is 1 gram off, it won't matter. But try to be precise. Alright, so I'm just going to tear that back out again. And then our olive oil, we actually need 200, so $200. Now, the one thing I will tell you, a lot of people don't know, is mils and grams do not weigh the same. They do with water, they don't with viscous fluids. This thing holds 500 mil, right? Now we just poured out 200 grams. Look how much is gone. Now you would think 250 would be about half, but we only poured out 200. There is not 500 grams of olive oil in that. There's 500 mil. There is a difference. So just be aware of that when if you need 500 grams of olive oil, there isn't. So you'll have to buy more than one of these bottles. Just so you know. Alright, so that's everything measured now. So now we can start. Alrighty, so I like to give this a good mix. Just sometimes even a stick blend, but definitely just a good mix with a spatula. The other thing I'll do is I will show you the temperature of this. Now we heated those oils originally, as you remember. I hope you do, because I remember, and it was only like a minute ago. And then we've added, well, my rice bran was in the fridge. Olive oil wasn't. Now this is right-handed. Well, when I hold it in my left hand, because I'm left-handed, everything's upside down. Alright, now it's room temperature is 28.5. Oh Jesus, cooled down a degree. Woo! Now this, I'm going to have to do it this way, is higher than room temperature, but it's not too bad, so it's actually sitting at about 33 degrees. If you can see that. Now see, so you don't need to measure this because yours will be pretty much the same. Now that's, I would soap a little cooler than that as a general rule, but for this it will be fine. The difference is if you're doing the goat's milk version, your goat's milk will be cold, or at least room temperature, so when you pull it in, pour it in this, it'll cool this down further. But because we've only used these and no goat's milk, it hasn't given it that little bit of extra cooling. So right. Now get these ready, and we're going to pour our lye in. Now you're just going to pour it in gently. You don't want to pour it in from up here because you don't want it to splash everywhere, so you just pour it in. Give your bowl a scrape. I sit mine straight in the sink. You don't have to, but I prefer to. I usually just give it a mix, just mostly to get the lye off the spatula, because I'm not going to use the spatula for a minute. Because now we're going to stick blend. Now I want you to use your stick blender on the lowest possible setting. Just with it, without turning it on, just mix it around, because this helps mix it, just like that. Okay, now undo your stick blender, leave this end in here for now. Actually, you know what, we might no, you know what, we'll leave it. We'll just do it this way. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to pour our measured out eucalyptus straight in. And just stir it around. And what we're doing is we're only mixing the soap to emulsion, not to trace, because what we want is for it to not go really thick really fast. Right. So we just give it one more little blast. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to undo that. We're going to pour some off into the cup. Now I've filled up to the line here on the cup, but you can pour as much or as little as you want, it's up to you. Oh yeah, that's strong. Great. Alright, now we're going to put some of this. Now you can use a teaspoon, a regular teaspoon, doesn't have to be a plastic spoon, it's up to you, and these spoons don't fit in here anyway. So, alright, so let's just not do that. You don't have to measure this, just do what I'm doing. This is something that doesn't need to be precise. Alright. I'm going to take this, put this in here. Now, do we like that colour? I think that colour's pretty boring, don't you? Alright, so what we will do is we'll take our stick blender out. unhook it because guaranteed it'll fall over. And then we're gonna put a bit more turmeric in there. Another, I don't know, what's it, half a teaspoon, I guess. And then just do the exact same thing. Yeah, that's a better colour. We'll go with that. Alright. Now, make sure you have a cup or a bowl or something that you can put water in so you can mix your stick blender. And here comes the mess. Alright, so you've got your mix here. Now you'll get your spatula out. Give it a nice mix. Make sure you scrape down the sides. Get everything incorporated in there. This is lovely and fluid still. You can see it's still moving around really nicely. It's barely at trace. What trace is if you do this, get some on that and do that. If it leaves lines on the top of your soap where you do that, then you know it's at trace. So this is not quite at trace yet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a drop swirl, which is very common. So we're going to pour all of this into your mould, just like that. Scrape it all out. Just like that. Get it all out because there's no point wasting. We're a frugal bunch, we soap makers, I swear. We will scrape every last drop out if we can. Well, you know, there's no point wasting. Alright. And then we get in here and give this a mix up. Now you can see it's got lovely texture to it. It's very nice. And then all we're going to do, we're going to take our cup in your right hand if you're right-handed, and your left if you're left-handed, and you're going to hold it fairly high, and you're just going to pour it in, however you want. And come down lower and pour, just like that. Just like that. And then we're going to get the spatula, scrape all the rest out, you know. As I said, we're a frugal bunch, we like to get it all. Go up high if you want, go down low. The difference being, the higher you pour from, the deeper it will go into the soap. The lower you pour from, the higher up it will sit. So if you pour from all distances, like if you start up high and then come down low and do that, then you'll get all different levels in once it's in your soap, and you cut it and you can see. Right, now we're going to take this and tap it a few times. Helps release bubbles, and that's it. You've just made your first soap. Seriously, that's it. How awesome are you? Did you do it? Alright, so we're going to leave that now. We're not going to do anything to it. We're not going to cover it. We're not going to put it in the fridge. We're not going to put it in the stove. We're just going to leave it. We could play with the top of it because it's your first soap. We'll just leave it, and then we'll come back when it's ready to be cut, and I'll show you how to unmold it and cut it. Good job, guys. You did really, really well. Alright, see you soon. Bye.